So guys, we'll just have a very quick conversation from me regarding the test on Thursday. So, it is our third test and it is just on chapter 7. So it's a short unit, it's a sharp unit, generally considered the easiest unit. So that means we want to maximise our success in this test because it's equally weighted with the others, right? So just a summary of the content, chapter 7. In 7a, they're just making a distinction between discrete variables, things you count, and continuous variables, things you measure. In 7b, we introduce you to a probability distribution, okay? So when we have discrete events, all right, and then the probability of the random variable taking on that particular event. So that notation there, and we know that the sum of all probabilities is 1. There's particular properties that make a valid probability distribution. In 7c, we look at expected value. So 7c.1 is basically a binomial calculation. Success or failure, the expected outcome is n times p. And then when we look at a probability distribution, well, that's the mean of the distribution, which is each event multiplied by its probability added together, right? And you can calculate that, you know, just by putting that all in, or using the stat mode on your calculator, list 1, list 2. Okay, make sure you're competent with both. Then at the end, 7c.3 is about fair games. So that's an application of the expected value. All right, so there'll definitely be a question about fair games. There will be a manual standard deviation calculation. Properties of ax plus b, so given x is a distribution and it has some linear relationship to y, all right, calculating the properties of y. 7f introduces you to Bernoulli distributions. I tend not to ask questions about Bernoulli distributions, and they're not particularly examined either. They pop up occasionally, but because the point of doing a Bernoulli distribution is because it leads into binomial distributions. Binomial is just a repeated Bernoulli trial. Just a couple of things. 7g.2. So we started 7g2. No one really asked me about 7. Except Lauren last week. That was good, we had a chat about that. So this is a pretty common sort of question that pops up if you're doing the practice tests, because that's getting you to consider conditional probability. So have a look at that one. And you'll see them pop up a bit in the practice test, lots of opportunities to practice it. Happy to explain to anyone today. When you're doing your test as well, like particularly when we're doing BCD, BPD calculations, write that down, okay? Not only for me, the marker, so I can see. You don't get marks for writing it, but it helps me understand your reasoning, and it also helps you check, rather than just having 3 significant figures written there. Once you finish the test and you're going back and checking your working, you can see, did I put the right thing in my calculator? Because here's what I wrote down. And then rounding, I've tried to be consistent, write 4 figures, round to 3. Write 4 figures, round to 3. I encourage you to do that, just because with figures, right, so having marked exams for a number of years, the general principle is always round to 3 significant figures unless otherwise stated. And what they do in the exam is they don't really care if you write 15 figures, okay? Don't do it, waste of ink, waste of time. But there'll be particular questions where they say, this is one where we're going to pick on rounding, all right? And so there's a mark in a question that's from the correct rounding, okay? So just get good at rounding and round to 3 sig figs all the time unless otherwise stated. Okay, let's look at revision materials. So we've got the tests, right? I've printed for everyone the 21 and the 22. They're up the front here, so you can come and grab them in a moment. If you want any of these others, I'll print them in a sec, and I might just do a bit of a tally up here so I know how many to print. All right, so we got today's lesson dedicated to revision. We got Wednesday's lesson dedicated to revision. And then the test on Thursday. Although I'm open to negotiation, it's not a massive unit, so I don't think we need to spend ages revising. So yeah, if it's going to be an issue Thursday, discuss it with me. The other thing is, you'll see, like if you've been doing some of the practice tests, you'll see, you know, different people from the previous years featuring, you know, questions about them. If you want to be a feature in the test, let me know. I'll put you in. I'll make some good jokes. All right. Excellent. Any questions about things I've spoken about? Usual conditions, so you'll have your calculator, one single-sided A4 page of handwritten notes you can bring in. I have not written the test yet. I'll get to that tonight probably. So, cool. Let's get right into it and enjoy.